Hi, everybody.
Sales.
Welcome. Deb
Welcome.
and Brandon here with Yager Training.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How's everybody's Monday going so far? Have you had a good start of the day? We did. We already did meditation with our friends at the Good Society. That was a lot of fun. It was something new.
Quick dip in Barton Springs. We're off to the races.
So we are starting our new series, which is Selling to Serve.
Selling to serve. That's right. And so episode 1, we're going to talk about building lasting rapport. Rapport.
Hey Brenda,
What's
how are you doing? It's good to see you. So let's talk a little bit about sales and service and NLP and how that fits into everything. Because a lot of people, there are people out there that are using NLP for manipulation and maybe don't necessarily have the best psychology. And we hear this a lot. It's like, okay, so where's the fine line between being manipulative and being really salesy? Salesy?
Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm trying to say a lot today and it's not coming out. And also really, truly, deeply serving your clients, because NLP is just a linguistic tool. You can use it to really ask those specific questions and understand how your client's mind works and understand how you like to communicate to where then you can serve your clients better and build deep, long-lasting relationships.
Because we've said this before, you cannot serve without selling, and you cannot sell without serving. We've got to serve our customers first. And we do some networking around town. We meet a lot of people, and we notice one of the biggest challenges people have is how to get into rapport with someone else, like how to actually build conscious words and unconscious rapport, which is not always spoken, right? And unconscious rapport, so many people struggle with that. And they have, there's body language that gives a huge cue, the facial gestures, facial expressions, all that's body language, all that's telling us something. And so a lot of people get out of rapport, break rapport, what we call it, before they even get into it. And they wonder why they're not making sales. They wonder why they don't connect with people at a deeper level. So that's what we want to talk about today. And through this series is how important rapport is unconsciously.
And what to do in the sales process, and really how to take a client from A, where they're a really powerful prospect and they need something, and then taking them all the way through the sales process to where then you can serve them by having them invest in themselves to create a solution in a win-win-win scenario. And the reason why I say win is win-win-win is because win for you, win for the client, and also win for the planet, for everyone. So as long as you, I mean, coming back around to the manipulation, I believe that sales is actually the most powerful way that you can serve someone, because it's just education. You're giving people options, and you may have something that's very, very powerful that can solve their problem. And that process is the most beautiful process I believe that you can do, because you take them from a problem trance and you can move them all the way into a solution trance. And it's energetically spiritual. And we talk about this in the training, because the transaction of exchange of energy through money and all the different things, and it makes me super excited. So I would like to ask for you, if you have what we call an NLP and IR, which means the picture, sounds, feelings, taste, smells, and self-talk that goes on in your mind that is a negative picture or sound or feeling around sales, then start thinking about it and unwrap it and unravel it and start really reprogramming your belief around the sales process. And that's our hope from this next series.
Absolutely.
To where you can feel empowered by it. In fact, it's something that you'll look forward to because you know that you're serving others.
And if you want to be a great coach, we look at coaching is very similar to sales.
Yes.
Right? Because there's a decision that needs to be made, and usually the client's unaware of it. And that's the thing about coaching, is if the client could solve the problem on their own, they would have already done it.
Yep.
That's why they're hiring you. That's why they hire us. That's why they're coming to us with this problem, so that we can help them unravel, unpack it, and they can actually get some resolution on it. So what we are, first and foremost, coaches out there, we're actually salespeople first, right? We're investigating, we're finding clues and unpacking by asking lots of thought-provoking questions to get inside our client's mind. It's the same thing with sales. We've got to sell first, by the way, in order to get the client, and make sure that they are a client, they're a good fit, they're right for us. Then we can do the magic. Then we can work on the techniques and everything that we know.
And we believe that the actual coaching process starts in the sales process, because you're literally taking them through a process that usually brings up limiting beliefs, negative emotions. A lot of people in our culture and our society, I know that I had in the past, and every up level that we do in our own personal life, we have doubts, we have fears, and we also have different levels of money block. And all that stuff is going to come up to the surface whenever somebody decides to buy. And it's your job as a salesperson and or quote unquote sales coach,
right,
to help them go through that process and ask questions and help them problem solve and make the right decision for them and their family and their life and their higher purpose. So that's why we're so passionate about it, because we truly believe the magic starts in the sales process. And so before we jump right into it, the first thing you need to think about is rapport.
What is
it?
Rapport.
Rapport. Yeah. So rapport. Well, according to hypnosis, rapport is where the client will uncritically accept the suggestions of the hypnotherapist. Think about it for a moment.
So it's gaining unconscious and conscious trust.
What do you think you're doing when you're doing sales? Hypnosis.
You are.
Seriously.
You're building suggestions to the person's mind to help them come up with conclusions and decisions to make a decision.
Exactly.
About what they want. Maybe the buyer doesn't even know what they want.
I'm sure that everybody's had the experience where you've done a one-on-one with somebody and you have that deep connection to where you almost feel like you've known that person all your life. And it seems like everything outside of just you two together has totally stopped. Like you lose track of time. In fact, you probably had an appointment that was right after that appointment.
And you missed it.
Yeah, because you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Where did my mind go? And that is really deep rapport. And sometimes we find that we just connect instantaneously. Why is that, I wonder? Ooh.
Why is that?
Well, people like each other that are like each other.
People like what they like. They like each other that are like each other. And so, rapport is a number of things. It's spoken and unspoken. And there's always common ground, right? You find surface level things to talk about, but then there's deep structure, deep rooted stuff underneath that really helps you connect and bond with someone. And Absolutely. That's what we're going for here. We're building rapport with someone so that you can actually serve them better. If you don't have rapport, then you're going to come across like a sleazy salesperson. Mm-hmm. If you have deep rapport, you can actually serve and ask them questions like, well, what's important to you about hiring us as your coaches? What's important to you about taking a training like this? So now I can fully understand what the client wants, and then I can actually provide them, because maybe it's not right for them. Maybe it's not the right timing, right? There's lots of things that we can ask that if we're in rapport with them, they're going to give us everything. And Hannah made a good point. Sales it's not just selling the product, right? It could be getting an idea, selling an idea, getting your kids to, getting kids not to take drugs.
Or to adopt your beliefs or values, or selling your spouse on your ideas, a way to get things done. I know that we sell each other all the time on our ideas of what we want to do, because we have different ideas of how to get there sometimes.
Absolutely.
And so it's really just being able to verbalize and educate people on your vision and get people on the same page with you. And it's not right or wrong. I mean, we all have different ideas. This is for them to adopt what you have to say. And it was interesting the other day, Hannah and I and Brandon were all at the internet marketing party, and she was telling me about these two guys, because they were talking about rapport. I don't even know how it got brought up, but it was probably a conversation about NLP. And one guy was saying that it was all conscious, like finding similar experiences. And then the other guy was like, no, it's totally unconscious. Well, we believe it's both.
It's both.
It's both.
Integration.
It's integration of both.
Total integration.
So they did a study in Pennsylvania University that said that I think it was 7% of communication is words, 59%. 38% was tonality, and then the rest was body language, physiology.
52% is, or 54% is physiology, posture, gesture. It's basically unspoken no
communication. Words. So I'm sure that we've all had an appointment with somebody, or we've gone to a networking event, or we've gone somewhere and you just felt like you can't really get in that bubble with that person, right? It's like how you feel that energetic, like almost wall that's up. So this will help you be able to get into rapport with them.
Every time.
Yes.
And if you're finding it difficult to make sales, take the sale off the table. First and foremost, take the sale off the table and just start to build a relationship. I think so many people put so much pressure on themselves around sales. They put so much pressure around performance and having to get results, which we all want to do. And if you're not performing, then take all that off the table and say, okay, I'm going to focus on language. Focus on one small thing. I'm going to focus on having a really good conversation with someone and actually listening for the first time in a long time. One thing we do with a lot of salespeople that come through our 3-day business training is get them to quiet the mind so that they can actually ask questions. So many people are already thinking about the response their client's saying, and they totally miss all of the ammunition that just came out of that prospect's mouth, which is everything you need to help them.
And unconsciously, if that person's pretty tuned in, they'll notice when you're not listening because you're talking to yourself, and they'll almost feel this energetic shift that you're not listening to them. So it's very, very important to get out of your head.
Get out of your head and be in the conversation, be present. And your number one goal and your focus should simply be build rapport.
Build rapport.
How can I build solid, long-lasting, deep rapport, very deep? And then they will be like, wow, this has been a great conversation. And maybe they did all the talking. That's when you know you're in great rapport with someone, is when your prospect is talking all the time, giving you all information that you need to better serve them, to help them make a decision. And they're like, man, this is the best meeting I've ever had. Or they'll say something like, I feel like we've known each other our whole life. All these things, those are all really, really important to make sure that you're focusing on the rapport aspect first and then the sale later.
So coming back to around what we were talking about, the 7% is words and the rest of it is body language. Now the words are very, very important. And so a lot of traditional schools around building rapport in sales, they talk about trying to find similar experiences. And yes, this does work. Like you like the Longhorns. Well, I like Longhorns. Or you have a similar car, you went to the same school, or maybe you're into the same brand of spirituality. Whatever it is, those things are good ways to build rapport. Now, what are some other things that we could do that are completely out of the conscious awareness? Well, it's body language.
Body language is huge.
Yes. So you can match that person. So if I was to raise my left arm,
their right, we would be mirroring each other.
So
we teach this in our 3-day business training. We talk about this a lot, and of how important just unconscious mirroring and matching a prospect or a client's body language will actually cut the tension of what's going on in the conversation.
Because their unconscious mind unconsciously is going to say, oh my gosh, they're just like me. I can trust them.
They'll become more comfortable, right?
It
breaks.
They'll open up to you.
Exactly.
And again, it's not about mind control. It's getting them open to having the ability to truly listen to what you have to say. Now, just because you're in rapport doesn't mean that they're going to agree with you.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make them agree with you in any way. It's just that they are open to your point of view, and they're open to listening to what you have to say.
Uncritically. With an open mind. That's what building ultimate rapport does. I talk to a lot of salespeople on a weekly basis, and it's amazing how many people over the phone, they get on the phone, they maybe make the sales call, but then they actually don't have anything important to say. There's no great questions. And so, there's a long list of great rapport building questions.
And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow on Wednesday.
Yeah, we are.
Asking questions. Though when you get on the phone with somebody, you just want to have small talk. Or when you're doing it one-on-one, when you're first meeting them, you really want to come in with the attention of like, I want to get to know this person. So you start asking questions as if you were wanting to build a friendship and a relationship, and it will come naturally. And while you do that, then you can match them with your body language. So if their legs are crossed, you can't see our legs, but imagine that you could see our legs and they're crossed right now. Then you could cross your arms to match them.
And we're going to talk about over the phone for telemarketing, telesales, and when you're making phone calls or follow-up calls, there's still ways you can get in rapport by using keywords and tonality. And so we're going to talk about that later in the week too.
Absolutely.
Because that's extremely important. There's sometimes, if you've ever been on the phone with someone and they answer the phone, hello, how's it going? And they're real loud and they're really sharp. and you're like, whoa, like I just woke up.
It could break rapport.
It's breaking rapport. And so you want to come in softer and match the person's voice as far as the volume, the tonality, the pitch, everything.
So you basically want to match them as best as possible without mimicking, because mimicking, it will catch their attention and they'll think that you're doing something strange. But the other stuff is totally unconscious. There's so many times where I'm sure that we all do this. It's just actually bringing it to your conscious awareness. Now start paying attention with people that you're meeting and notice how you almost unconsciously want to move into the same body language as that the person when you're in rapport with them. And notice how you feel when you're actually mismatching. Mismatching means that you're doing completely different body language, or maybe your tonality is really harsh, and then the other person is really soft.
Or they talk really slow and somebody's talking really fast. So this is important. It's so important in sales. I think we miss the little cues that some of us as salespeople and business owners and coaches that we could catch on to.
Yes.
And if we caught on to those little things, it would drastically increase sales, simply because we're building more rapport and our prospects and our clients actually know that we care.
Yes.
Some of us, we care, but we don't come across like we care.
I kind of think of rapport as being this dance back and forth between both people where the conversation just kind of goes in different directions. Another thing to consider too when you're doing sales is that you are not talking the entire time.
No, you should be asking more questions.
You should be asking more questions. You should be responding to the questions you ask, but you really want them to open up because you are more trying to build relationship with them. Everybody likes to talk about, well, not everybody, but most people like to talk about themselves. And if you are going into the sales conversation, telling them all about yourself, first of all, you don't know anything about them, to where then when it comes time to present your information of your product or service, you're selling based upon your mind read.
Yep.
Which is what you mind read, what they value, what is important to them, and what the pain points are. And that's not going to get you anywhere because everybody's different. How do you know? So you really want them to be able to talk and truly listen to everything they have to say with a caring, loving heart and asking yourself, is this a good fit? This whole time you want to be asking yourself, is this a good fit in a business relationship? Or maybe is this a friendship relationship?
Sure. Yep. Calibrating that behavior, calibrating the conversation and how it goes. A lot of people don't discover what the problem is, if there even is a problem. Sometimes the client may have a problem, but we danced around the problem. So the first thing is to ask really good questions to find out and discover what their need is. We call it discovering the need. Which
we're going to talk about on Wednesday, some special questions that you can ask that will help them really unravel the problem. Another thing to consider too is a lot of times people jump into actually the sales process before they built enough rapport.
Yep.
I know that I was on I didn't know that it was a sales call until it was a sales call. And I came into it as building relationship and I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I got on the phone and they jumped right into it. And it kind of threw me off guard. And for me personally, I like to be like, bread and buttered a little bit more. I like to be warmed up, ask things about me, have me talk about me in my personal buying process. I like to really have that conversation, a deep connection before we start getting into business. And if you're like me, or if you have clients like me, you may break rapport if you don't build, or you may break it before you even built it, basically.
I would say 80% of salespeople break rapport before they've even built enough rapport to get into the sales cycle, to get into some kind of a sales process.
Yes. And I used to do that myself. And so it was definitely an old projection leaving me because I was super nervous around the sales process. And so when I would get people on the phone, I would kind of stumble around and forget what I was doing. And then my go-to was jumping right into it without really caring or really asking questions or really building that deep connection with the potential client. And I ended up blowing the sale. So, that's another thing. Just because you think you blew the sale doesn't mean that you have. And we'll talk more about that throughout the series coming up.
And it's also useful to know how to break rapport and get back into rapport, because there's times where you want to break rapport with clients because maybe they're so in their own stuff. You need to break rapport to be able to move on and have a better conversation at a later date. And so again, these are all very powerful things. And by the way, if you're rejecting sales altogether and you're like, I don't want to deal with it,
please consider coming to our 3-day business training, because we will help you unlock your ability to really enjoy the process and understand that it really is serving your clients.
Here's what we're passionate about. We're passionate about helping people that are struggling, or maybe they're making 75 to 85,000, but they're struggling to get into the 6-figure realm.
Yes.
$150,000, $250,000 and up. We know how to make 6 figures. We've done it in multiple businesses. And for a lot of coaches out there, do you guys realize that 88% of coaches make less than $5,000 a month, right? That's nothing. You can't survive, and you truly can't be authentic and be an amazing coach if you're making $5,000 a month. So one thing we help people do is break through the 6-figure ceiling and beyond. So for those of you that are coaches, or you're in your own business, or you're a salesperson, you're an entrepreneur, and you're struggling and you're tired, you're sick and tired of not making 6 figures, then check out our 3-day business training, because if you apply those simple tools, simple techniques, quickly, easily, it's amazing. We've had people come out of that, and within 90 days, they have doubled their income on a monthly basis.
We had a gal come out of the training, our last 3-day business training, and immediately after that, she applied the sales process. We call it the 5-step sales process, to her discovery session that she had with a potential client. It ended up closing that client into a $10,000 coaching package. That's brilliant. And it's going to be a win-win-win. The person's going to transform their life. I mean, what better is that, to be able to facilitate somebody to invest in themselves for transformation and change? So anybody that's a light worker, a coach, a thought leader, a public speaker, any of those things, this training is going to absolutely transform the way that you do sales and how you serve your clients.
We're very passionate about taking sales to the next level, because if you can sell, you will thrive. You won't survive, you will thrive. And the people that are surviving, a lot of them, the pattern tends to be, I reject sales. I hate sales. I'm uncomfortable with sales. I don't like sales.
And think about it. Think about the top leaders of the CEOs of companies, the people that are running multi-million to billion-dollar companies. They have the art of sales, because they have this brilliant idea, and then they go around and sell it and get funding. Yeah. Think about it. None of what we have in this world would be available to us if it wasn't for somebody having a transformational idea, and then have the willingness to go out there and sell it to people.
Having to sell an idea, or sell a movement, or sell a product, or anything. I mean, it starts with sales.
It all starts with sales, which is just education.
And for coaches out there, we are salespeople first, and we are coaches second.
Yes.
And they can be intermingled nicely, smoothly. It doesn't have to be.
And we will teach you how. We will teach you how to go through the sales process and become the coach, and help the client become the victor of their.
We bridge spirituality and business.
Yeah.
That's what we do in the 3-day business training. So if you're interested in that, check below. We'll have a link on that if you're interested, because we're excited. That's coming up in October 25th, 26th, and 27th. So you got some time.
We're having an amazing deal right now. It's a $995 training, and we're marketing it down for $195, but there's only a limited available seats left. So let us know. We'll put a link in the bottom of this.
The value of this training, if you don't take these tools and come away with it within, say, 60 to 90 days, if you're taking massive action, if you can't find a way to make $10,000 of income, I don't know. We got to talk, I guess.
Well, we'll do some coaching.
Well, we'll have to talk. We'll have to have a serious conversation.
It'll be a great conversation, because we'll help motivate you and give you a strategy for you
Absolutely.
to be successful, because we're all about being successful and helping each other. So thank you so much for listening today. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And all the things, YouTube channel. And that's where you'll find all of our videos in one place. And also, if you have any friends or family that would love to hear this, share it with a friend. Them. Also invite some people to our Yager training community. It is a growing community, and we want to help everybody be successful through collaboration. And I'm bringing on experts to tell their story, and also just help us become more consciously integrated in our business.
Stay tuned for the next 2 weeks. If you don't like sales, you're rejecting sales, you want some great tips to help your business, stay tuned. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. Look, sales should be fun.
Yes.
We should have fun helping people. That's all sales is helping people, educating them, and giving them great information. So that's what we're here to do. So stay tuned.
Love you all. Bye.